Hey Level 2, I wanted to today do a series of videos that is going to show you guys how to value shade different colors. So I'm going to take you first and show you how to value shade purple. Obviously these are not the same colors as what you guys have. You may have a purple, but it may not be your first paper strip, or you may have a yellow and it may not be your second paper strip. But I will try to go through like these little paper strips, and that may help you also to try to find the colors that you need. The main thing I would tell you is to use more colors than what you think. Um, I always try to hold up my colors to my still life to try to match those tones before I get started. So, the other thing I would tell y'all is to feel free to exaggerate the colors that you all have. So with that being said, I wanted to first of all go into this little section of this purple strip. So the first thing that you will do is double check your base tone. So this one in general, my base tone, I started out with a white, and I'm looking at this and I'm seeing I need to add just a little bit more so that I'll have a heavier application, a stronger application of my purple. So I'm just going to add a little bit more, and I'm going to pay attention, and I'm mapping out my lights and my darks that I am observing in front of me. And I'm looking right now at my iPad. I wanted to show you guys the image on my iPad because it's not the same image that you see right here. This is a duller looking picture, but what was happening was the image on the iPad was actually focusing, and you really couldn't see what I was doing here. So I thought it was a more to your advantage to show the colors, more accurate colors on here that are more focused in on my actual drawing while I'm working. So anyway, so I've got my yellow added. Now the next thing that I'm going to do, and this is kind of an unusual thing, but one thing that I've noticed with the purple is that the base tone, it is purple obviously, but there are lighter hues of a pink color, and this is a rose. This is called a blush pink, and I'm just going to add a little bit of that before I actually add my purple. So one thing I would advise you to do, if you see an undertone of a color that is a light color that's lighter than your base tone, and my base tone is going to be this color. So if you see that something is perceived as lighter, one thing I would recommend you do is to put that down first, and then your base tone will actually look a lot richer, and your colors will actually show as richer. And I'm just going back and forth. I'm going in the direction of my form here, and I'm noticing my highlights. So one thing that I will say, whenever you're adding your colors, you're going to do it kind of similar to layering a lasagna. You're going to add your color. You may have to go back and add like your highlight on top of that, or whatever the base tone that you added on top of that, if it starts to dull what you did initially. Because my highlight right here started to dull down a little bit when I added that pink. The pink is still there under that, but I needed to add just a little bit more to it. So I'm going to add a little bit of this purple, and this purple is a lilac. You've got some extremely dark areas too. I chose this one section because you have a range of different tones in this one little area that I could show you guys how to do. All right, so the next color that I'm going to add to this is a Parma Violet, and it's just one step up from that color. So you can kind of see I'm going from light to dark. And I'm going to add that. I see that color in my shadows. Seeing that just a little bit. I also see some blues and some browns in my shadows, and we're going to get to that in just a little bit. Okay. All right, so I haven't used my cream. Now, if you need to warm up some things, let's just say that you're wanting to warm up this white a little bit, it ends up looking a little bit too cool. You can always do that if you'd like to add a little bit of cream to that. You can just kind of lightly, this is going to create just this little yellow undertone instead of a white. If you need to go back and lighten some areas. So what I would suggest you do is add your base tone or whatever tones that you need to add, and then add your white or your cream on top of that, and then add whatever colors are on top of that as you go. So the next thing I want to do is to show you, this is a color that you're going to be using a whole lot, I would assume, in your values, especially in your cool color. So this is an indigo blue, and then I also have a dark brown. So these two together, if you mix these two, they're going to end up making a color really similar in nature to a slate gray. It's going to look kind of black, but not as strong as black. One thing that I would tell y'all to do is not necessarily to use black throughout your piece. You can add black if you see like really extremes and you're not getting what you need with this. That's when I would go with your black, but your black would be your last option to add what you have. I also have a violet, so we'll see if we need our violet. I have used it on occasion in this piece, so I'm going to, in the really dark areas, I'm going to add just a little bit of, this is the indigo blue right here. And if your blue, if it ends up looking too blue compared to what you see in front of you, what you need to do is just add your brown to it. And what the brown does, and the brown will do this to any color or any tone, it will neutralize it. It will just tone it down just a little bit. It makes things look a little bit more natural. So I'm adding my blue right here to this little area. I'm going to add just a little bit of brown. So at this point, what you need to do is just figure out, you know, do you see any other colors? Do you see any surprise kind of colors that might help to add some interest, that you may want to even exaggerate? I don't have a problem with you all exaggerating what you see. I definitely did. I made this thing just a little bit more rose than what you see in front of you. And I also pulled in some really heavy blues. I pulled in, there was a kind of a cerulean blue, a lighter blue that I pulled in as well in this piece. So the next thing I'm going to do is just add my little pops of color. So I've got processed red, and I also have pink that I'm going to add to this, and this will be my final little demonstration on this section. So I'm going to just tone this down just a little bit, because if you have a dark next to a light, you've got to have a medium that goes into it. So like I said, I see a whole lot of pink and rose undertones, so I'm going to add just a little bit of this pink color to that little section. And then I actually do see some of this heavier processed red. This I would put down almost like you're tickling somebody with a feather, just really light. You don't want to overdo this color. A little goes a long way with that. So that is the purple. The next video that I'm going to do is on the yellow.